In my previous video, I asked whether the Jason Arday controversy was about academic misconduct, or whether legitimate questions about his record had become part of a wider political campaign. Before we begin, one important caveat. At the time of recording, Cambridge's independent investigation has not published its findings, so this documentary is not a verdict. It is an examination of the evidence currently in the public domain and of the competing arguments being made in the court of public opinion. One figure in this controversy deserves closer attention: Nathan Cofnas, the whistleblower. To understand why the allegations against Arday became so politically charged, we need to understand the person who brought some of them to public attention. Nathan Cofnas is a philosopher who was formerly affiliated with the University of Cambridge. He describes himself as a race realist. His views on race are highly controversial. Cofnas has argued that racial differences in cognitive ability are at least partly influenced by genetics. More controversially, he has argued that, under what he considers a genuinely meritocratic system, Black people would disappear from almost all high-profile positions outside of sports and entertainment, and that the number of Black professors at elite universities would approach zero. Those comments have been widely criticized as racist, and this is where Cofnas' wider argument intersects with the Arday controversy. His position is not simply that individual appointments should be scrutinized. It forms part of a broader argument about race, merit, and representation in elite professional fields. Cofnas' views do not, by themselves, invalidate the evidence he has presented against Arday, and the allegations themselves are serious. According to publicly available material, critics have alleged plagiarism across multiple publications and question aspects of Arday's academic record. One of the most significant allegations concerns his doctoral thesis, which critics allege contains hundreds of pages of plagiarized or improperly attributed material. Arday, however, has attributed the backlash to intense scrutiny and inadequate doctoral supervision at Liverpool John Moores University. He has also pointed to his autism. He says that his reliance on mimicry and language repetition in his early writing may help explain some of the textual similarities identified in his work. Whether that explanation is persuasive is a separate question. Many academics would argue that neither poor supervision nor neurodivergence can excuse extensive textual copying. But the controversy has also become part of something much bigger: a wider debate over diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI. One side argues that universities have increasingly prioritized representation, creating a risk that diversity becomes more important than traditional measures of merit. And when that happens, critics argue, people may begin asking whether an individual reached a position because of merit or because of representation. There is another side to this argument. A white professor can simply be a professor. A Black professor may find that his appointment becomes part of a debate about race. And if we assume that every successful Black academic was appointed because of DEI, we have abandoned individual assessment. Kehinde Andrews, a Black academic, in an interview on Talk,
it is almost impossible for Black people to become professors.
What do you mean it's almost impossible? Are you saying that universities, which are renowned for being obsessed with diversity, equity, inclusion, are going, we don't want to have any Black people in top roles?
No, that's the lie. Universities are not woke. Universities are not left-wing. Universities are some of the racist institutions you can ever.
It's all racism.
3% of the population is Black. Black students are overrepresented in undergraduate, but actually underrepresented in masters and PhD because of the idea that we can't think.
No, right? It's actually because of the choice of university of a lot of the.
Indeed, the HESA statistics show that out of more than 23,000 professors in UK higher education, Only about 250 are black. Black representation also falls sharply as people progress through academia, from around 4.8% at undergraduate level to about 1.3% at PhD level. Research has identified further disparities in promotion, research funding, fellowships, and progression into senior leadership. So the claim that being black automatically provides an advantage in academic careers is difficult to reconcile with the overall pattern. But just for emphasis, this does not prove that Arday's appointment was justified, nor does it resolve the allegations against him. What it does suggest is that the broader claim that black academics generally have an unfair advantage is much harder to sustain. And this brings us to another question. Would this have happened if Jason Arday were white? We don't know. We cannot prove racial discrimination simply because the subject is black. But we can examine how similar issues have been treated by the same institution. Take William O'Reilly. In 2021, a former student complained to Cambridge that O'Reilly had used more than 12 pages of the student's work verbatim in a published article. After a 2-year investigation, a Cambridge tribunal upheld the plagiarism complaint in February 2023. But it concluded that the plagiarism resulted from negligence rather than deliberate deception. O'Reilly remained in his academic position. Then there is Stephen Jackson, a prominent Cambridge scientist. In 2018, one of Jackson's former postdoctoral researchers, Abdurrahman Qaidi, was found to have fabricated research data. Cambridge subsequently investigated 2 papers produced in Jackson's laboratory and concluded that they contained fabricated data by Qaidi. The papers were retracted in 2019, but Jackson himself was not found to have been involved in the misconduct and remained in his position. These cases are not identical to Arday's. The evidence, the circumstances, and the institutional processes are different. So they do not prove that Arday has been treated differently because he is black. But there is a striking difference in the public debate. The O'Reilly and Jackson cases remained largely about academic misconduct and research integrity. The Arday case quickly became a national debate about race, merit, and DEI. Why? One explanation is that Cambridge had made Arday a symbol of its diversity agenda. His appointment was presented not simply as the arrival of another professor, but as the remarkable story of a black academic who overcame autism and illiteracy to become Cambridge's youngest black professor. And once someone becomes an institutional symbol, criticism can extend beyond the individual. In Arday's case, the controversy was further intensified by Cambridge's handling of the initial allegations, the involvement of law enforcement, and reported legal threats directed at journalists and whistleblowers. The story was no longer simply about academic misconduct. It had become a political argument about race, representation, and merit. But there is a danger here. The Arday controversy should not be reduced to a left versus right argument over DEI, nor should it be treated as evidence that declining educational standards can simply be pinned on DEI. If academic standards were not properly maintained, the relevant question is not simply whether diversity policies existed, it is whether the institution did its job. Cofnas's description of himself as a race realist may make his motives worth examining, but it does not automatically invalidate the evidence he presented. And the reverse is also true. If evidence is ultimately found to be flawed, that does not make every concern about institutional standards illegitimate. So, whilst we wait for an official report from Cambridge's investigation, the most important question is whether the university's own procedures worked. Were Arday's credentials properly examined? Were important claims independently verified? Were concerns raised during the appointment process? And if concerns existed, how were they handled? Those are questions the investigation should help answer. But while Cambridge examines the institutional questions, Arday has also offered his own account of the journey that brought him there. His recently published memoir, Great and Unfortunate Things, tells the story of his childhood, his autism, his education, and his extraordinary rise through British academia. So in my next video, we will examine the memoir itself. What does Arday's account reveal about his journey? What does it tell us about the story he has been telling? And how should we read that story in light of everything we now know? Subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss it.